Yo, what's good, Laker Nation? I need you to stop everything you're doing and listen to what I'm about to say, because this might be the most important interview I've ever shared with you. Not the most exciting, not the most dramatic, the most important. Because what Austin Reaves said on SportsCenter this afternoon, just hours before Game 4, the game that could end the Lakers season with a sweep at the hands of the Oklahoma City Thunder, is going to completely reshape how you think about this franchise's future. Austin Reaves, the 28-year-old undrafted free agent who worked his way into being one of the best guards in the NBA, went on live television and called for a revolution, not a minor adjustment, not a tweak to the rotation. A full-scale revolution of how the Los Angeles Lakers are built, how they operate, and who they build around going forward. He questioned the franchise's addiction to super veterans. He called out the model that has failed them. He suggested that the Lakers need to embrace youth over legacy, and in doing so, he drew a line in the sand that separates the past from the future. I had to rewind this 3 times because the implications of what Reaves said are so massive that they're gonna dominate the Lakers offseason conversation from tonight until October. Let's get into all of it. Hey, what's up everyone? Real quick before we get into everything, that like button is literally what determines if this reaches hundreds or thousands of fans. Takes 1 second, but makes a huge impact on the channel's growth. Just smash that like button right now. It's the easiest thing you can do, but honestly, the biggest way to support this content. Every single like pushes this further, so hit it now. Here's where things stand. The Lakers are down 3-0 to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Game 3 was a 131-108 massacre at Crypto.com Arena where the Lakers led 59-57 at halftime and then got obliterated in the second half. The Thunder are 7-0 in these playoffs. AJ Mitchell, a second-year player, had 24 and 10 in Game 3. SGA had 23 and 9. The Thunder have beaten the Lakers by a combined 59 points in 3 games. Tonight is Game 4, and the Lakers are facing the very real possibility of being swept out of the second round. Luka Doncic has missed 14 consecutive games with his hamstring injury. LeBron is 41 and showing his age. The roster around them has been exposed as inadequate against elite competition. Reaves himself had 17 points and 9 assists in Game 3 after his brilliant 31-point Game 2 performance. But the inconsistency tells the story. He went 3 for 16 in Game 1, exploded for 31 in Game 2, and then came back to earth with 17 in Game 3. The oblique injury he sustained on April 2nd, the same game where Luka went down, is clearly still affecting him. He missed the end of the regular season, missed 4 games of the Rockets series, came back in Game 5, and has been fighting his body ever since. He's playing through pain, and it shows in the streaky performances. So when Scott Van Pelt sat Reaves down on SportsCenter, the expectation was a standard pregame interview, maybe some adjustments talk, maybe some "we believe" platitudes. What happened instead was nothing like what anyone expected. Van Pelt asked Reaves how he was approaching tonight's game, knowing it could be the last of the season. Reaves looked into the camera, took a breath, and said, "First, I want to apologize to Laker Nation, sincerely. What you've watched over the last 3 games has been embarrassing. There's no other word for it. We came into this series believing we could compete, and we've been exposed. Not just outplayed, exposed. The gap between us and the Thunder isn't small. It's a canyon, and the fans who paid for playoff tickets, who sat in Crypto.com Arena on Saturday night and watched us lose by 23 in our own building, deserve better than what we've given them." Van Pelt, slightly taken aback by the raw honesty right out of the gate, asked what Reaves thought was the root cause of the gap, and that is when Austin Reaves said something that is going to reverberate through the Lakers organization for years. "The model is broken," Reaves said flatly. "The super veteran model that this franchise has been running for the last several years is broken. And I say that with all the love and respect in the world for LeBron James, who is the greatest basketball player who has ever lived. But the truth is the truth. You cannot build a championship team in 2026 around a 41-year-old player, no matter how great that player is. The NBA has changed. The Thunder just showed us what the future looks like. It looks like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at 27. It looks like Chet Holmgren at 23. It looks like AJ Mitchell at 23 putting up 24 and 10 in a playoff game. It looks like Jared McCain at 23 shooting 80% from 3 in a series. It looks like youth, speed, athleticism, depth, energy, and we don't have enough of any of those things. The studio went silent because Austin Reaves had just publicly called for the end of the LeBron James era in Los Angeles. Not with malice, not with disrespect, but with a clarity and conviction that was impossible to ignore. Let me be clear about something, Reaves continued. LeBron James carried this franchise. He won a championship in 2020. He's given everything to the purple and gold. And even in this series, at 41, he's been our best player in games 1 and 2. The man scored 27 on 12 of 17 in game 1. That's insane for anyone, let alone a 41-year-old. But the NBA doesn't reward past greatness. It rewards present capability. And the present capability of a roster built around LeBron at 41 and Luka, who can't stay healthy, is not enough to compete with what the Thunder have built. And I'm not just talking about LeBron, Reaves said, his voice gaining intensity. I'm talking about the entire philosophy. The Lakers have been chasing aging stars for years. It's the franchise's DNA. Get the biggest name, make the biggest splash, put the star on the billboard. And for a while, it worked. LeBron and AD won a title. But the model has diminishing returns. Every year the stars get older, the legs get heavier, the injuries become more frequent, and meanwhile, teams like the Thunder are building through the draft, developing young talent, creating a system that's bigger than any individual player. Sam Presti built that team over 5 years. He was patient, he was strategic, he accumulated assets, and now he has a team that's 7-0 in the playoffs and might not lose a single game in the entire postseason. That is how you build a dynasty in the modern NBA, not by signing 40-year-olds and praying. Van Pelt asked Reaves if he was suggesting the Lakers should rebuild around him and Luka as the core going forward. I'm suggesting the Lakers need to have an honest conversation about what they are and what they want to become, Reaves said. Because right now, we're stuck in the middle. We're not old enough to be a nostalgia act and not young enough to be a future contender. We're in basketball purgatory, and purgatory doesn't win championships. If Luka is healthy, and that's a big if after what we've seen this year, then yes, you build around Luka. He's 27 years old and he's the scoring champion. But you build around him with young players, with guys who can run, who can defend, who can play 40 minutes without their legs dying in the third quarter. You draft well, you develop. You stop trading every first-round pick for a veteran who gives you 2 good years before declining. That's the model that works. The Thunder proved it. The Celtics proved it before them. The Nuggets proved it with Jokic. You build from the ground up. You don't keep stacking the top. And I include myself in this assessment, Reaves said, which surprised me. I'm 28. I'm part of the future window, not the past. But even I need to be honest. I'm playing hurt right now. The oblique injury hasn't fully healed. I went 3 for 16 in game 1, 31 points in game 2, and 17 in game 3. That inconsistency is partly because I'm not physically right. If this team is going to compete next year, they need me at 100%, and they need young guys around me who can pick up the slack when I'm not at my best. Not Marcus Smart at 32. No disrespect to Marcus, who has given everything. Not role players who are on the back end of their careers. Young talent. Hungry talent. Guys who have something to prove. The interview went to commercial, and I was genuinely speechless. Austin Reaves, the quiet, humble, hardworking kid from Arkansas, had just gone on national television and told the world that the Lakers' entire roster-building philosophy was wrong, that the LeBron era needed to end, that the franchise needed to embrace youth and development over star chasing and shortcuts. This was not a disgruntled player venting. This was a thoughtful, articulate 28-year-old laying out a blueprint for the future, and the fact that he did it publicly on SportsCenter hours before a potential elimination game tells you exactly how strongly he feels about it. When they came back from break, Reaves was even more direct. "Let me tell you about what I saw in game 3, he said. "We led 59-57 at halftime. We were right there, and then the second half started and the Thunder just took over. Not because they made some brilliant adjustment, not because Mark Daigneault drew up some magical play, because they had more energy, more speed, more legs, their guys ran harder, jumped higher, fought for every loose ball, and our guys, especially in the fourth quarter, were gassed, physically and mentally. LeBron was laboring, Smart was reaching instead of moving his feet, Ayton was standing flat-footed instead of jumping for rebounds, and the Thunder just kept coming in waves. Mitchell, SGA, Holmgren, McCain, Dort, Hartenstein, wave after wave after wave. We can't match that with what we have. It's not possible. And this is where I'm going to say something that the front office probably doesn't want me to say, Reaves continued. This offseason needs to be about courage. Not the courage to make a big trade for another star. Not the courage to sign a flashy free agent. The courage to tear it down and rebuild the right way, to trade the veterans who are declining, to accumulate draft picks, to bring in young, hungry players who are going to outrun and outwork the competition, to build a culture of development instead of a culture of desperation. Because right now, the Lakers culture is desperate, he said. Every year, it's we need to win now. Every offseason, it's who's the next star we can bring in. And every playoff, it's we weren't healthy or we didn't have enough depth. It's the same cycle over and over. And the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. The Thunder didn't do the same thing every year. They were patient. They drafted Shea, they drafted Chet, they drafted AJ Mitchell, they acquired McCain, they built a system, and now they're 7-0, and they might not lose a game all postseason. That is what patience looks like. That is what organizational discipline looks like, and the Lakers need to learn from it. Then Reaves shifted to something deeply personal, and this is the part that hit me the hardest. I came to this franchise as an undrafted free agent, he said. Nobody believed in me. I wasn't supposed to make the team. I wasn't supposed to be a starter. I wasn't supposed to be an all-star candidate. But I worked. I worked harder than anyone in that gym every single day. I earned every minute I've played in this league, and I know what it takes to build something from nothing. Because I did it. My entire career is proof that development and hard work can produce elite level talent. So when I say the Lakers need to invest in development, I'm not speaking theoretically. I'm speaking from experience. Find the next Austin Reaves. Find the undrafted kid who's willing to outwork everyone. Find the second round pick who has a chip on his shoulder. Find the young player who's going to be in the gym at 6 a.m. while the veterans are sleeping. That is how you build a championship roster, not with max contracts and super teams, with work. Tonight is probably the last game of this season, Reaves said, his voice quieter now. And it might be the last game that this version of the Lakers ever plays. LeBron might leave, Smart might be traded, Ayton might be dealt. The roster is gonna look very different in October, and when it does, I want to be part of what comes next. I want to be part of the rebuild. I want to be one of the pillars that this franchise builds around. Me and Luka when he's healthy with young talent around us. That's the vision, that's the future, and everything between now and then, including whatever happens tonight, is just the bridge between what was and what's going to be. He looked into the camera one last time. To Laker Nation, I know tonight might hurt. I know a sweep at home against the Thunder would be devastating, but I need you to see beyond tonight. See the future. See a franchise that's about to learn from its mistakes and come back stronger. See a team that in 2 or 3 years is going to be what the Thunder are right now. Young, fast, deep, and hungry. That's the promise. Not tonight's game, the future. And I'm gonna be right there in the middle of it, giving you everything I've got, just like I've done from day one. Tonight we play for pride. Tomorrow the revolution begins. Let me break down the massive implications. First, Reaves just positioned himself as the voice of the next era of Lakers basketball. While LeBron spoke about potentially stepping aside and Smart spoke about accountability, Reaves spoke about vision. He laid out a coherent, compelling case for why the Lakers need to fundamentally change their approach to roster building. That's leadership, that's a franchise cornerstone mindset, and the front office should be paying very close attention. Second, the super veteran model is broken statement is going to be the defining quote of the Lakers offseason. It directly challenges the franchise's DNA, the idea that the Lakers always need the biggest names, the brightest stars, the most marketable players. Reaves is saying that model is outdated and that the path forward runs through development, patience, and youth. Whether the front office agrees remains to be seen, but the fact that one of their most important players said it publicly puts enormous pressure on them to at least consider it. Third, the comparison to the Thunder's model is damning for the Lakers' organizational strategy. Sam Presti spent 5 years building OKC through the draft and development. The Lakers spent 5 years trying to win now with aging superstars. The result, the Thunder are 7-0 and might sweep their way to a championship. The Lakers are about to be swept in the second round. The numbers speak for themselves. Fourth, Reaves' self-awareness about his own limitations was refreshing and honest, acknowledging that he's playing hurt, that his inconsistency is partly physical, and that the team needs guys who can carry the load when he's not at his best shows a maturity that goes beyond his 28 years. He's not making excuses, he's providing context, and context matters when you're making decisions about the future. Fifth, the LeBron situation is now unavoidable. Both LeBron himself and now Reaves have publicly acknowledged that the franchise can't be built around a 41-year-old player. Whether LeBron retires, gets traded, or accepts a reduced role, the era of LeBron James as the centerpiece of the Lakers is over. What comes next, a Luka-Reaves partnership surrounded by young talent, could be the most exciting chapter in Lakers history since the Showtime era. But it requires the organizational courage that Reaves called for. Laker Nation, this is the moment of truth, not just for tonight's game, but for the future of the franchise. Drop in the comments, do you agree with Reaves' vision? Should the Lakers embrace a full rebuild? Is the super veteran model truly dead? And are you ready for the Austin Reaves era of Los Angeles Lakers basketball? Hit that like button, subscribe, ring that bell. Game 4 is tonight. Whether it's the last game of the season or the beginning of a miracle comeback, be there. Support the team. Show up for the jersey, not just the names on the back. And get ready, because the revolution Austin Reaves just called for is coming. The old Lakers are dying tonight. The new Lakers are about to be born. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.